should we be dealing with the economic issue? Should everybody have a decent standard of living in America? Can we do that? The answer is yeah, we can.
In this video, Bernie Sanders joins Andrew Schulz and gang on their podcast to talk about American values. And Bernie Sanders is a favorite of mine, of course, and Andrew Schulz seems like an okay guy. He's one of these comedian bros that's kind of recently skewed right, but Bernie Sanders is really setting him straight. So why don't we watch this together? And then I want to know what you think in the comments about Bernie Sanders and Andrew Schulz.
Culturally, what Trump represents to me, he lies all of the time. He is interested in himself and more money. And almost what bothers me is that is the kind of culture that we advertise to young people. This is the world. If you lie and you cheat and you steal, you too someday can be a multi-billionaire. Is that where we want to go as a nation? And what's the alternative?
I think the most important question is, what do we want as Americans? And I think it is hard to, I think the way that we teach it in school is that people came here for freedom. And I think if we were being more honest, I think people came here for money. And I think it was freedom from a lack of opportunity. There was freedom from oppression. Otherwise, my mother is an immigrant. But I think...
Where did your mom come from?
Scotland. So, you know, she didn't have maybe a lot of opportunity. Stopped going to school at 15 years old, came here to America, started a dance school, and she had immense success here, teaching dance lessons in New York City. Who would have thought? But I think the reality is that opportunity. I think Akash's family also came here for financial opportunity.
My family as well.
Exactly. And I think it's very hard to tear that away. I think that the fuel of the American machine is this idea, the delusional hope that one day we'll all be millionaires.
All right, but is
I don't know if that's right, but right. I think that is.
Look, I think this city is what the melting pot city in a sense. Where my father came from Poland, he dropped out of school at 14. Yeah. He came here at the age of 17, really incredible, without any money. All right, and that's the story of millions and millions of families. We all came different ways. But what I'm getting at is, should the goal, and everybody wants to live comfortably,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
There's nothing to be ashamed of. You want to, you don't have to worry about whether you can pay the electric bill. You want to make sure your kids get an education. All right, but does the culture have to suggest that to be a success, you need to be a billionaire? What I'm getting at is, you know, I'm the former chairman of a committee that deals with all this stuff. So we don't have enough doctors in America. We don't have enough nurses. We don't have enough dentists. I brought in several $1 billion into the state of Vermont for infrastructure, to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure. We did that all over America. We don't have enough construction workers who make good money, by the way. You want to be a sheet metal worker, you want to be a welder, you want to be an electrician, you want to be we don't have enough. What I'm saying is, I would like to see us say, you want to make America great? Good.
Dude.
I want to have doctors so you have to wait 2 months to get into a doctor's office.
This is it's so important. It's like, what does the culture award? I think Akash can speak on this maybe the best of all of us. Like, within your community, what is the highest?
Doctor.
It's doctor. Doctors don't make the most money. There are hedge fund managers that make more money. But if they're in a group, like you speak to, if you're in the family gathering.
There's an honor. I get to brag to my parents get to brag to other friends. My son is a doctor. And I don't even know if it's about helping people. But for that is the thing.
Yeah.
And
it's not the most lucrative profession.
No, it's not. But
it garners the most.
My dad told me, he was like, I'm really proud of your success. I'm proud of how far you've come. I want you to know, no matter how famous you get, I would still rather you be a doctor.
And so maybe there's a version of that in America where, like, obviously we want financial success, but can we reward some of these other positions as they offer societal utility?
Right. And then you go even deeper than that. And that is, I mean, then now you're going really deep, you get into the issue of human happiness. All right. These guys sit in Wall Street, they get up, 4 o'clock in the morning to see what the stock market is in Japan, and and they make zillions of dollars doing crap. I mean, what's the usefulness to society?
Yeah.
And you got a kindergarten teacher here in New York City who is nurturing and making life better for some low-income kid, right?
Yeah.
Right. Who's doing more important work?
I mean, the teacher, without a doubt. Yeah. There's no question. The problem is that we're not rewarding those positions.
Right.
And if we did reward them, like if it was this great honor to hold these certain positions, which I still do think doctor is.
Yes.
But I think they're few and far between and first of all, doctors make a lot of money, so let's not act like they don't. But I think there are few and far between positions that don't make a lot of money, but still command immense respect in America. I do think that we are tied to the dollar, unfortunately. And how do we change that?
And that's exactly the question.
Unfortunately, it's a question they don't answer in this video, and I'm not sure we have a clear answer on, but moving the camera back to, hey, guys, let's focus together on how to fix this is absolutely the right way. I just want to add previously the idea of value, not just value to society, but once a person, a billionaire, I don't know where the line is, but it's in the hundreds of millions of dollars, there's a point at which that additional money does not improve their quality of life at all, right? It doesn't make them more happy. It doesn't make them more comfortable. So the argument from the right is, well, these people deserve it because they've earned it. And I don't think it's about deserve. It's about utility, right? What is them having all that wealth take away from society in very real terms? And what does it add to their life, right? In very real terms, because at a certain point, more money, more wealth, more yachts, whatever, doesn't improve their existence at all. In fact, you could even argue that it has adverse effects.
Getting to it seems to me, you talk to, I'll tell you, so we do a thing in Vermont, it's called the Burning Buzz. It's a newsletter that goes out. Did an interview with a woman who works in a nursing home. God knows what she makes. It's not a lot of money. Okay. Mm-hmm. And she talked about her satisfaction helping seniors, fixing their hair, doing their nails and all that stuff. And the pride. She's a religious woman. Okay. And the pride she had and how she feels good. I want us to feel good about doing good stuff.
Yes.
Not just ripping off other people. I don't want to be...
But the problem is much deeper than a Donald Trump to give some pushback.
Yes, I agree.
Gordon Gekko is celebrated as a hero.
Exactly.
I grew up listening to rap. I still love it, but it's all about excess wealth, being rich, being billionaires. It doesn't matter how you get the money. Doesn't matter if it's honorable or not.
When we were growing up, there was a million movies about, and there's a lot of criticism for this, but like some teacher who's well off that goes to the hood and really commits to like revitalizing that school, right? And initially the teacher's not accepted, but then the teachers see that, so the kids see that he's like a good, or she's like a good force on humanity, and it's really rewarded. I don't think they make those movies anymore. I think it's a bunch of Gordon Gekkos, right? Or every Marvel movie is about, an Elon Musk, character type, which is, Iron Man is Tony Stark. So yeah, the culture is clearly rewarding whatever makes you money. And I don't want us to completely get away from that. I think like success is important. Ingenuity and innovation is important.
Absolutely.
But there has to be something else that's important.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
So how do we do that? How do we instill that?
That's the kind of discussion.
Girls got to start sleeping with teachers.
This is the kind of discussion we need to have as a country. And it gets back to this thing, this blew me away, this Pew poll about whether you feel better off. And it's we got diverted a little bit. It's not just economics, whether you're better off inflation accounted for dollars today than you were 40 or 50 years ago. It's more than that. It's, do you feel part of your community? All right. Or are you feeling isolated and alone? You're spending half your time on the goddamn cell phone.
Yeah.
Right? And how do we, the craziness is we have more potential wealth now with all of this exploding technology. So we don't have to be working 50 or 60 hours a week. We can be thinking about what does it mean? Should we be dealing with the economic issue? Should everybody have a decent standard of living in America? Can we do that? The answer is yeah, we can.
Right. So again, I think this is a fascinating conversation, not just because Andrew Schulz and his pals have, and like Rogan and the other ones, comedians come podcasters, have drifted to the right with Elon Musk and bought into the lies, and are now sort of being like, whoa, deporting people, suspending habeas corpus, yikes. So there's a little bit of a wake up happening that I think is overdue. And I wish it hadn't been a problem in the first place. But this idea of a conversation about American values the right is so quick to talk about Jesus and American values, and that's not American. Meanwhile, this administration is doing the most un-American things that certainly we've seen in my lifetime. And I think if we all just take a deep breath and sit down and have this conversation of like, is this really fair? Does this feel fair? And are these alarms and warnings they're screaming about hordes of rapists taking our homes and our wives? Like, really? We can fix these problems, but we have to wake up. We have to come together and we have to have these conversations. It's going to take... There are some easy things we can implement if we have the political will to do it, and that probably means tossing out some of the garbage in Congress. But then there's some harder ones that we have to say, what are we going to sacrifice for this and the collective good? And I think for the short term, it's like when you're trying to lose weight, if you're 100 pounds overweight, a big chunk of that weight comes off real easy once you get started. Eventually you get to a place where losing more weight really involves some changes in your lifestyle. And I think that's kind of what we're looking at as a country. I don't want to be glib about it. I mean, climate change is a very real problem, for example. So, I don't want to be too cheeky, but let me know what you think in the comments.